Hello, YouTube. Hey, I just want to say thank you for visiting my channel. I want to ask that if you would, please subscribe and hit that like button. And I appreciate you all supporting me and coming to see my videos. And today we're going to talk about an important conversation for all of us. And it's an important topic. And it's about love and love with no expectations. So listen, love with no expectations. It sounds odd. I know everybody talks about it. I don't think many of us truly understand it. Now, I'm not going to say that we don't have hopes and dreams for the relationship, no matter what it is, even if it's just friends, when it comes to this. But hopefully we can learn that somewhere down the line we have developed a love for someone that really doesn't have expectations. Basically because there are three important elements in that relationship that seem to be working. Okay, the first one is trust. And I don't know, there's just no way that I can put enough emphasis on trust. Now, people say trust must be earned, but actually, trust is kind of like a savings account, or more like an investment account, okay? You give someone a certain amount of trust in the beginning based on your first interactions, and what they do with that then determines the level of trust from there on, and the return on that trust, and how much you allow it to grow. Okay, so that's the first element. The second element is honesty, which goes along with trust, I understand, but still they're a separate thing, because I know some people personally, I could be in a bad situation and trust them to have my back, but I don't necessarily believe everything they say. And I'm going to go so far as to say I know a few people that I trust almost nothing they say. I don't believe about half what I actually see them do or supposedly see them do, but I do trust them in important matters. Say if we were stranded together, I believe they would do their part, or I know how much they would do. Okay, so you've got trust and honesty, because it's important that they convey honesty, not just in what they say, but in what they do. Because look, if what someone says and what they do doesn't match up, well, they're a liar. You can say anything you want. We've talked about this before, but what you do is far more important a lot of times than what you say. And yeah, words can hurt. I agree. But you've gotten mad at someone. We've all done this. I'm guilty. We might scream out, I hate you, or, I wish something bad would happen to you, whatever. But the bottom line is we stick in there with that person. So what we did was far more important than what we said in a moment of anger, right? Another thing is communication. Listen, communication is the lifeblood of any relationship. If that's not flowing, it's dead. Now, the whole reason behind that is that trust and honesty only happen through communication. Okay, so when someone clams up, they're shutting you out. Now, so what does it imply when you say love without expectations? Now, we have hopes and dreams for our kids, our parents, and we hope those things come to fruition. Oftentimes they don't, but we still love them. And if that child or that parent or whatever, say you were in a city setting and they stepped out into the street and there was a bus coming, you're just going to grab them. You're going to try to get them out of the way. You're selfless in your deeds towards them. It doesn't mean you're foolish, okay? Because you're not going to run out there and step in front of them a lot of times to get hit by the bus, because now you're dead and their protection might be done for. Not only that, but you put them in a tragic situation. So a lot of times when we say love without expectations, we're thinking, okay, so then we don't expect them to have any return of that love. Well, you know, I love my kids. Whether they love me or not, it doesn't matter. And that's constant, okay? And that's love without expectations. Now, let's get a little deeper into the expectations thing. I think that's where we get it mixed up, is we think, well, I love this person, they should love me back. That becomes an expectation. And it's a selfish expectation. There are some people, and it don't matter how good a person you are, there are some people that will be incapable of loving you on that level. You know, and I want you to think about this, even your sweet granny, even my sweet granny, is the villain in someone's story. That's just how it works, okay? But the thing is you will find when you hit that level of love, because I don't think that comes automatically. I think that's something that grows. It's hard to just love people without expectations. I get that. And I think that's a level you build to. But here's the thing. Once you reach that, you're not disappointed anymore when they fail to hit a certain benchmark that you've put on them, and you project those benchmarks on them. Maybe they take it on themselves to tell you, well, I'm going to do this, 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 and be this, this, and that. Like a drug addict, okay? They're infamous for, oh, I'm never going to use again, I'm never going to this, I'm never going to that, you know, and then they fail, and then those expectations aren't met. And then if you find yourself still doing something for someone, even in the midst of that and after that, it's because you really love them without expectations, whether you realize that or not, okay? And we're going to touch on some of this deeper in the next few days. I really want to get into this deeper. I'm just trying to skim over the top to give you an idea of what to expect. Here's something else to think about. And feel free to comment, okay? Can you say that there are a few people in your life outside of your kids, okay, that you love without expectations? And what's been the result of that? How has that worked out for you? Because, you know, we love to do, and I want to put it this way, we like to feel good about ourselves. And we should most of the time. And that will be a whole issue that we'll get into. I might get into it here in a few minutes, just kind of as a finish up or a final chapter of this one video. But you know, what happens when you finally love someone that way? They totally screw up. And they come back and they're like, oh, you know, I messed up. Or maybe they just come back, because a lot of people do that. They come back and they're not going to tell you they messed up. They're not interested in that. Their pride won't let them do that. But your love allows them to come back without all of that, okay? Because a lot of times that becomes self-pride. And you are trying to validate what happened to you. Well, guess what? You don't need validation. It happened. And whether everybody else sees it or not doesn't change whether it happened. So when you get into that, you then have to say, okay, so, and I'm saying this because I want you to understand where we're going in the next few days. So what does that word love really mean? You know, people say, well, it's undefinable. It absolutely is definable, okay? And I'm going to tell you something. Love's what you do. It's not what you say. I can tell you 1,000 times a day I love you. But if I come in your house and I beat the snot out of you once every day, I mean just a brutal beat down, you begin eventually, not some of you, because I swear some of you just ain't the sharpest knife in the drawer, okay? But eventually you should begin to understand that what I do is who I am. And that determines whether I love you or not. Because I can say it 1,000,000 times a day, but if I beat the hell out of you one time a day, that's how I feel about you. That's just really the truth. And I think that's why, you know, spousal abuse, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, happens because we fail to recognize what people do is who they are. And I've talked about that in my videos, especially if you follow me on Facebook. So anyway, let's talk about this thing called love just for a minute before I go. See, and I want you to think about this concept for a minute. We can have feelings of what we call love. And I think in part that has something to do with it. But more to the point, you know, those feelings that, you know, loss of breath, heart pounding, anxiety, can't wait to see them, can't wait to be with them, a warm feeling when you're holding their hand, all that stuff. To me, those are symptoms, okay? And they can lie to you. Our feelings can lie to us a lot. And I think that's what's happening all the way across the board with a lot of things and a lot of people right now. You know, the whole truth versus reality thing, and I'm going to get into that one day, and we're going to tear that up. But anyway, here's the thing. Love is like the storm and the storm cloud. The feelings you get, the heart palpitations, the warm feelings, and the anxiety and all that, that's the precipitation. That is the byproduct or symptoms, if you will, of love. Because when you feel that way, you're dedicated to that person, right? You're pretty much sunk in with them when they make you feel that way. And why is that? Because you like to feel that way, right? We all like to feel good. Nothing wrong with that. And I'll get into that too. And we're going to get into that deep probably tomorrow as part of this video series about love. And listen, I'm coming to you with this because I'm the king of mistakes in this area. So I may not be able to tell you everything to do. I can tell you everything not to do, for real. And it's just as important to know what love is not as to know what it is. And love is mostly what you do. Now people are going to argue, but I'm going to tell you something. You can have all the grandiose feelings you want about someone, but if they don't call you, if they don't text you, and in this day and age, if they don't hit you up on Messenger and Facebook or Instagram, and you think they don't care about you and your butt hurt and you're gone. If you have warm feelings about someone and they just ghost you, you take that as a clue and you ghost them back. And I'm not talking about everybody, but most people, okay? And that's love with expectations, okay? And I think most love starts that way. Now, I'm talking about personal relationships between a person and a prospective mate. Now, that's a particular kind of love, and it's called the eros, okay? So you have the eros, which is where we get the word erotic, okay? Which is between a person and their mate. And then you have the philios, which is the brotherly love, where word Philadelphia comes from, city of love. So you have the Philios, and you have the agape, which is the godly, all-consuming love without expectations kind of thing. Now, having said that, I'm not saying that you have to earn it once someone loves you without expectations. But it makes you live your life in a way that you don't want to lose it, if that makes sense, okay? But there are some people who just aren't that way, right? I mean, you give them a new Camaro and they'll run it in the ditch because it wasn't an earned kind of thing, because it was kind of given, right? And we'll go over all that. But I want you all to think about these concepts that I've talked about. Love without expectations. What does that mean to you? When you truly love someone with no expectations whatsoever, what does that mean to you? And what does your life look like when you begin to love others that way? Think about it. Please, again, subscribe, hit that like button, and comment. Let me know what you're thinking. I love you guys. Agape, right? I have zero expectations of you all. I do have hopes, and I just stated them. You all take care. Peace.